Hey everyone, Brock here, and today I really want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, Part 1. Now that's a mouthful to say, so let's just call it Remake. In this to play or not to play, I'm going to give my review of the remake, compare it a bit to the original game, and of course, let you know whether you should play it, or maybe just not play it. Let's go. Now, I really don't like spoilers, but since this is a review of a 23-year-old game, there are a few basic story elements I'm going to be discussing. Remake is a game that took me around 40 hours to beat, doing every side quest and then some. You will be experiencing the city of Midgar that only made up approximately 4 hours of the original game. In other words, Remake has stretched out the original game's opening 10 times over. And I've got to say, they actually did a really good job here, but the decision did come at a cost. Essentially, you are playing a very fully realized game, but you're only going to experience a small fraction of a much larger story. New players might get a bit lost or frustrated by the end of the game because they aren't seeing the conclusion to the story. In all honesty though, a lot of games have cliffhangers, and the unfinished nature of Remake's story does not detract from the game's overall quality. In fact, I have to be honest when I say that the original Final Fantasy VII is just colossal. The story has a lot of twists and turns, the open world was massive, and it could all be a lot to handle at times. Even playing through it multiple times as I have, I would get lost, confused at the plot, and just not really always know where I was going or what I was doing. The decision to make a more linear, fleshed out game before tackling all of what comes next was a pretty good decision. For instance, one of the coolest parts about this game is that we get to see more of the characters that we loved from the original, as well as learn about the characters that we didn't get to spend as much time with. For example, you get to learn a lot more about Jessie in this game. Jessie Raspberry, the aspiring actress turned passionate eco-terrorist. Now, as cool as Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge were in the original, they were about an hour-long footnote in a 50 or so hour game. In Remake, however, they are living, breathing people with skills and dreams, and they like pizza. Hey, sometimes you just gotta take a break from saving the world and be like,
pizza time.
That being said, we cannot forget about the actual stars of the show. Our party members see a notable improvement from the original. Don't get me wrong, text boxes are an amazing staple of the RPG genre, but there is something markedly different about hearing the emotions behind their words. For instance, let's take a quick look at this part very early in the game that features Barret and his daughter Marlene.
Marlene.
Daddy, you're home!
That's right, Angel, I
Welcome
am.
back.
Have you been a good girl?
Yeah, I've been helping Tifa.
Oh, you did you? Well.
You can feel through the line delivery the love that Barret has as a father, and at other parts in the game, you can similarly feel the hatred that he shows towards Shinra and really anyone else who would try and go against his righteous cause. Also, Marlene is just so cute.
You smell nice.
You get to spend more time with a much more feisty Aerith,
Shit.
and you actually get to see Tifa kick the crap out of stuff in cutscenes, like wow. All of these moments really elevated the characters and brought them to life in a way that I, as a fan, absolutely love to see. Anyhow, I could talk all day about the voice acting and the awesome little moments of characterization you see, but at the end of the day, all you need to know is that
It's pretty good. It was pretty good.
the general story beats of FF7 are largely untouched in Remake, While I really enjoyed spending more time with certain characters and taking a little longer in other areas of Midgar, there were some things that really suffered from the pacing. One of my absolute least favorite sections from the original game is Wall Market. Now, to each their own, but I think that spending several hours in one spot going on a dress hunt is just not why I play Final Fantasy games. I do that for my Yakuza playthroughs. Look at that hair! Just look at that dress, oh my gosh! Thankfully, Remake added some combat opportunities in this part of the game, and they kept and expanded on some of the really fun minigame moments that we all know and love. Unfortunately, I feel like this part of the game just kills all story momentum and makes some of the already bloated sections of Midgar even more noticeable this time around. At the end of the day, it is just the weakest part of a really good game. There are a slew of arbitrary choices that you're forced to make, such as calling a coin toss, choosing whether you want to drink a mysterious liquid or not, and even how much you are willing to pay for a massage. Unlike many other games, there's no real way to understand how your choices are going to affect the rest of your playthrough. You see, after you finish making each choice in the Wall Market section, you're given a few side quests to do. Depending on how you answered the questions, you will either receive Route A side quests or Route B side quests. Unfortunately, this means that you cannot do every side quest in the game on your first playthrough. Some people might like this diversification of content, but for me, I see it as more of a completionist nightmare. You have to play through the game's weakest area twice, making specific choices in a certain order to be able to see everything that Remake has to offer. That being said, Wall Market is one of the biggest gambles that the original game took, and I must say that Remake captured it perfectly, arguably even improving it. I still had a lot of fun with it my first go around, and many players will tell you that this is actually one of their favorite parts of the game. You just have to see for yourself what you think of it. I personally loved the improvements to the squatting minigame. Why are they done like this, and why do I love it so much? Let me know in the comments if you do squats like this. I don't get it. So, overall, the pacing of Remake is a little off at times, in some areas more than others, but the story of Remake is largely the same as the original FF7. In certain ways, Remake can actually feel like more of a sequel at times. You see a completely new entity in the Whispers. These mysterious entities constantly plague our heroes during the story, and you never really understand why they're there. This is a surprising addition for new players, and it really adds a layer of excitement in this mysterious subplot. Let's take a little bit of a look at the gameplay now. One of the biggest changes from the original was the switch to an action-oriented combat system. I believe that they succeeded in this risky change. Every character feels great to play, and they generally bring their own unique attributes to the battlefield. Cloud is fast and cuts stuff really well, Barret is slow but has the long-range capabilities that you need, and Aerith is your designated magician. Unfortunately, I feel that Tifa is often the odd one out in this version.
Tifa.
Tifa?
Tifa!
I personally don't think that her hand-to-hand combat is as strategically useful as the other characters, but the way that her gameplay handles still feels as fluid and unique as the others, even if I often left her out of the mix. The combat system, like many other action games, took a little bit of time to get used to. I thought that the first boss was very frustrating and just a bit too difficult. There was not enough time to get a handle on the gameplay before this challenge reared its head. And much like the first boss of a Souls game, I got really frustrated and struggled for a bit. It wasn't a great first impression, but soon after that, I got used to it and I really enjoyed the system. After the first boss, I think you get a better feel for the combat system and what exactly the game wants you to do. For instance, I realized that you should switch between characters often during battle or the enemies will just gang up on you and ruin your evening. You see, this is not really a challenging game, but after you beat it, you unlock hard mode. Now this mode exists to ruin your whole week. You cannot use any items for the entire playthrough, and resting zones do not give you your MP back. So that means no using Cure, no using potions or Phoenix Downs. You just have to sort of figure out the abilities. Relying on each character's individualized abilities is what's going to help you out throughout this entire playthrough. Understanding each character's specific abilities will be crucial to having a great time and not losing constantly.
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
The materia system is back and cooler than ever. You get to actually see the little orbs on every character's weapon, and those weapons will follow you into cutscenes, and that's just really cool to see. Some people might find it overwhelming that you get these little orbs of power and you have to kind of distribute 30 of them between your characters. It can take a little bit of time to get used to that, but I really like the materia system and I'm glad that they brought it back. It is a staple of Final Fantasy VII. Speaking of weapons, you'll find that they're sort of like collector's items in this game. You want to have every single one. I don't know about you, but in an RPG, I just sort of buy whatever I need at the time, or I'll save up money for a really good weapon, but in Remake, you need to get new weapons because that's how you get new abilities. For example, Cloud has a move called Triple Slash. Now this is an ability I used in almost every single combat encounter. You dash between different enemies striking them, and not only is it a great offensive maneuver, you can also use it very defensively to zip around quickly and not get hurt. Barret, of course, has a lot of long-range abilities, but a few of Barret's weapons even give you some close-range capabilities, making him a bit of an everyman in certain situations. Aerith can heal your party, defend them with barriers, or just throw magic at people. They're all fantastic abilities from her. Tifa's abilities allow her to punch stuff differently and kick things in unique ways. Generally just hitting things. And that can be useful. It's definitely fun. I'll say that much. If you don't have these abilities, you're not really experiencing the full depth of the combat, and you'll be stuck with magic and 0 MP on hard mode. Because of hard mode and the fact that you have to maybe redo the wall market section, that makes Remake have some great replayability. And if you just want to have fun and style on enemies in normal mode, you can do that, but it's also excellent if you're a masochist and have just been looking for a really great challenge. Now, usually when I play a game, I just obsess over the story, the gameplay, the acting of course, but I have to talk about the graphics. This game is beautiful. The cutscenes are choice, the animations are smooth, and many of the in-game moments are indistinguishable from the cutscenes.
My hero!
Hey! We'll link up over there! Look after Jesse!
Come this way!
I couldn't even heal without being amazed with how good this game looks. And since it is a remake, the developers really needed to show us what the PlayStation 4 could do for the game better than the PS1 could. In that sense, I'd say they really succeeded. I mean, just looking at the box art from the original and the remake, you can see that this is what they want Cloud to look like. This is who he is in all of his 1997 glory, with very little changed in the remake cover. When it came to gameplay, however, the developers were very limited by the hardware of the time and couldn't capture this moment exactly how they envisioned it. Although in Remake, we can see that there is nothing holding them back. The actual game looks just as good as the cover art. Many people will remake a film, a TV show, or a video game to just make a quick buck, but you can tell that FF7 Remake had a lot of heart put into it, and it definitely needed the reshine more than a lot of other IPs that get remade. All in all, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 is a must-play. I think if you're a fan of action RPGs and definitely a fan of the original FF7, you're going to have a great time playing this game. Now, if you haven't played the original, some parts could be hard to understand and you might not have as much fun, but go back and play the original. That game is amazing, and it'll definitely make this game a lot more fulfilling to play through. I really enjoyed the 40 hours that I put into Remake, and I'm probably going to put in around 40 hours more, to be honest. I hope I made your decision to play or not to play it a little bit easier. If you like this video, please make sure that you like and subscribe and leave a comment, because I would love to hear from you what you thought of the remake, maybe what you look forward to in part 2, and if you enjoyed this video. So, thanks for watching. See you later. Alright, that's 2 videos down and Dee and I have officially started our channel. Make sure you subscribe. We've got a lot of cool ideas for videos coming up soon. We're so excited to start building up a community and show you all of the things that we just love to talk about. Games, anime, film, TV. If there's a certain game in particular you want to see me play or review, just leave a comment down below and I'll definitely try and get to that at some point. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, wait. You know what my favorite part about Final Fantasy VII is? Sephiroth!